during the birth of my child, my life took a breathtaking and unimaginable turn. In a moment of profound transition, I crossed into a realm beyond anything I had ever dreamed or believed could exist. What I encountered there was not just a glimpse of the afterlife, but a revelation that transformed my understanding of life, death, and the divine. It challenged everything I thought I knew about sin, unconditional love, and God's perfect plan for humanity. This is the story of my near-death experience, NDE, a journey that unveiled the eternal nature of the soul and the boundless truth that lies beyond this world. As the complications during childbirth escalated, I felt an unexplainable shift deep within me, a sensation so profound it seemed to transcend the physical pain and fear I had been experiencing. It began subtly at first, an almost imperceptible lightness, but soon it grew into a vivid awareness. I could feel my soul, my essence, beginning to separate from my body. It was not a struggle or a wrenching departure, but rather an effortless, almost serene ascent. My soul seemed to rise naturally, as though it had always known how to leave the physical world. The moment of separation was unlike anything I could have imagined. I distinctly sensed myself leaving through the top of my head, the movement so smooth yet so deliberate that it felt guided by an unseen hand. There was a sound, a gentle rush, soft yet full of presence, that accompanied this transition, as if marking the passage of one form of existence into another. As my soul lifted away, a deep and enveloping darkness greeted me. Yet, this darkness was not threatening or empty. Instead, it held a strange comfort, like the quiet of a room before dawn. At first, I was disoriented. I knew something extraordinary was happening, but I couldn't quite grasp what it was. Then, as if a veil had been lifted, the truth came crashing down. I had died. The realization was startling yet oddly liberating. I was no longer tethered to the body I had called home my entire life. I could see it faintly, as if it were a distant memory, but it no longer defined me. I had stepped beyond it, beyond all that I had known. And yet, I was alive in a way that I had never experienced before. My consciousness was sharper, clearer, and more expansive than I could have imagined. Every sensation was heightened, but not in the way one might feel physically alive. It was as if my soul had found a new way to perceive existence, free from the limits of the human body. I felt weightless, unbound by gravity or time, and in this weightlessness, I sensed a freedom that was pure and complete. There was no fear. The dread and uncertainty that so often accompany thoughts of death were entirely absent. Instead, I felt a profound sense of peace, wonder, and even gratitude. I was crossing into a realm I had always hoped existed, though I could never have imagined its beauty or reality. The questions and doubts I had carried about life after death melted away. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that I continued to exist, not as a body, but as a soul, vibrant and eternal. This was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater than I had ever understood. My life, as I had known it, was over. But my journey was just beginning. I found myself adrift in a dark, misty space, a realm that was silent and still yet pulsing with an almost imperceptible energy. It wasn't frightening or oppressive. Instead, it felt like a place of transition, as if I were on the threshold of something immense. As I tried to comprehend where I was, The mist around me began to shift and change, giving way to a brilliance unlike anything I had ever encountered. At first, it was a faint glow in the distance, but it quickly grew, expanding until it enveloped everything around me. This was no ordinary light. It was dynamic, alive, and vibrant, moving as though it carried its own heartbeat, its own rhythm. It pulsed and shimmered with an indescribable energy, radiating warmth, power, and an undeniable presence. The light wasn't just a sight to behold, it was a force, a living essence that seemed to recognize me, as though it had been waiting for me all along. As it drew closer, I felt its pull, a magnetic embrace that was both gentle and irresistible. The light didn't simply surround me, it permeated every fiber of my being, filling me with its radiance. I felt myself dissolve into it, merging with its essence in a way that felt completely natural, as though I had always belonged to it. In that moment, I ceased to be a separate entity. I was part of the light, and it was part of me. This wasn't just light as I had understood it. It was love, not the conditional, fleeting love that I had known in life, but a love that was infinite, unconditional, and utterly perfect. It wasn't something I merely felt. It was something I became. The love was overwhelming, saturating me in its presence, erasing every doubt, every fear, every flaw I had ever perceived in myself. It wasn't just around me, it was within me, and I was within it. Though no words were spoken, the light communicated with me in a way that transcended language. It imparted truths directly to my soul, bypassing all barriers of thought or understanding. I didn't hear it, yet I knew its message with absolute certainty. It told me, "You are my beloved soul. You are precious beyond belief. I love you without condition." These words, or rather, this truth, resonated within me at a level deeper than anything I had ever known. It wasn't just a comforting sentiment. It was a revelation of the most profound kind. In that moment, I understood that this love wasn't just for me. It was the foundation of existence, the very fabric of creation itself. It was the energy that sustained all life, the essence of everything that ever was and ever would be. As the light cradled me, I felt the boundaries of time and space dissolve. There was no past, no future, only the eternal now, an infinite moment filled with joy, peace, and belonging. I realized that this light, this love, was the source from which I had come and to which I would one day return. It was home in the truest sense, a place where I was fully known, fully accepted, and fully loved. The longer I remained in this light, the more I felt an ecstasy and bliss that defied all earthly comprehension. It wasn't a fleeting sensation. It was an all-encompassing truth, one that grew and expanded the longer I was immersed in it. I felt whole, complete, and utterly free, as if every burden I had ever carried had been lifted. In the presence of this light, I understood something that I had always known deep down but had forgotten in the chaos of life. We are created from love, for love, and as love. This was the essence of who we are, the truth that connects us all to one another and to the divine. I didn't need to question it or analyze it. I simply knew it to be true. This was not an experience of light or love as mere concepts. This was the living reality of the divine, a presence so profound that it changed me forever. And though I didn't yet know it, this light and its message would remain with me, shaping every moment of my life to come. As I lay cradled in the indescribable love of the light, something extraordinary began to happen. Knowledge, pure, unfiltered truth, started pouring into me, not through words or images, but as a profound, all-encompassing knowing. It was as though I had become a receiver, perfectly attuned to the source of all wisdom. I didn't need to ask questions. The answers simply flowed into me, filling me with clarity and understanding. The first truth I was shown was my own eternal nature. I came to understand that I am not just a fleeting being tied to a physical body. I am eternal, indestructible, and deeply cherished. The light revealed that my existence transcended time and space, that I had always existed in some form and always would. This revelation didn't come as a shock, but as a remembrance, as though a forgotten truth had been gently restored to me. But it wasn't just about me. This knowledge extended to all humanity. I realized that every single person is eternal, that we are all deeply and unconditionally loved by the divine. Each of us is a unique expression of God's infinite love, created not to be judged or condemned, but to live and thrive as beloved souls. This understanding swept over me, penetrating to the very core of my being. I saw the true essence of who we are, not the flawed, fearful, and imperfect selves we often see in the mirror, but beings of perfect love. The light showed me that we are all created in the image of God, not in a physical sense, but in our capacity to love, to connect, and to reflect the divine. In this moment, I came to understand that our humanity, our very existence, is an extension of God's eternal plan. We are not accidents or afterthoughts. We are deliberate creations, each carrying within us a spark of the divine. That spark, I realized, is our soul, the eternal part of us that is always connected to the source of all love and truth. The knowledge I received wasn't a lecture or a series of facts. It was a direct transmission of truth that resonated within me so deeply that it felt as though it had always been there, waiting to be uncovered. Every fiber of my being vibrated with this newfound understanding, and it left me with an unshakable certainty. We are all eternal, we are all loved, and we are all profoundly connected to the divine. This realization filled me with a sense of awe and gratitude that words could never capture. I understood that the light wasn't just giving me information, it was awakening something within me, reminding me of who I truly am and who we all truly are. It was a gift beyond measure, one that would forever change the way I viewed myself, others, and the world. At first, I didn't think to call the light God. There were no voices or declarations, no grand introductions. Yet, as I stood enveloped by its radiance, every fiber of my being knew this light was from Him. It carried a presence so vast, so profound, that no other explanation was possible. This was more than light. It was truth, wisdom, and peace, all woven together into something far beyond human comprehension. The light didn't just illuminate, it revealed. It spoke directly to my soul, not in words, but in a language of knowing so pure and undeniable that it transcended thought. With every moment, the truth became clearer. This was the essence of God's love, a love I had longed for, even without fully realizing it. It wasn't a distant or conditional love, but one that was immediate, intimate, and infinite. This love was unlike anything I had ever encountered. It wasn't based on my actions. beliefs, or worthiness. It simply existed, perfect, unconditional, and unwavering. It didn't judge or condemn. It embraced. It saw every part of me, the flaws, the fears, the doubts, and loved me fully, without hesitation. As I remained immersed in this light, the peace it carried began to fill me in a way I had never thought possible. It was a peace that surpassed understanding, a calm that reached the deepest corners of my soul. It reassured me that I was safe, that I was seen, and that I was loved beyond measure. The love radiating from the light wasn't confined to me alone. I realized it extended to all of creation, to every soul that had ever existed or would ever exist. It was the foundational truth of the universe, the very force that held everything together. This love was God, and God was love, a truth so simple and yet so profound that it reshaped my understanding of everything I had ever believed. In the presence of this light, I felt whole in a way I didn't know was possible. It wasn't just an experience, it was a revelation, a confirmation of what my soul had always longed to believe but had never fully grasped. God's love is real, infinite, and boundless. It is the force that creates, sustains, and redeems. And in that moment, I understood that this love was my home, my source, and my ultimate destination. As I remained immersed in the light's love and wisdom, another wave of divine knowledge poured into me. This time, it was about the world, the very nature of existence, and the purpose behind all that unfolds. I was shown, with an unmistakable clarity, that the world operates according to a perfect plan. It was not a random, chaotic series of events, but a deliberate, divine design orchestrated by God's infinite wisdom. I began to see the interconnectedness of everything, like a vast tapestry woven with threads I couldn't fully comprehend. Even the chaos, pain, and suffering we experience on earth, things that so often seem senseless and cruel, were shown to me as integral parts of this grand plan. The light didn't diminish the reality of human struggles, but it offered a perspective that transcended them. It revealed that, in ways far beyond my understanding, these moments serve a purpose within the perfection of God's design. The light conveyed a profound reassurance. You do not need to worry or control this. It is not your burden to bear. This truth brought with it an immense sense of peace. For the first time, I understood that the weight of the world was never meant to rest on human shoulders. God's plan was unfolding exactly as it should, in perfect harmony, even when it didn't appear that way from an earthly perspective. I marveled at this revelation, feeling a sense of wonder at the perfection that underlies all existence. It wasn't just an abstract idea. It was a truth I could feel in the depths of my soul. Despite the pain and challenges we face, everything is ultimately working toward a greater purpose, one that aligns with God's infinite love and wisdom. This understanding didn't erase the reality of earthly suffering, but it transformed how I viewed it. I realized that even in the darkest moments, there is meaning. Even when we cannot see the full picture, we are part of a divine story far greater than ourselves. And in that story, there is no randomness, no mistakes, only God's perfect plan, unfolding moment by moment, leading all things toward His ultimate purpose. Knowing this didn't just fill me with peace, it filled me with trust. Trust in the one who created the world, who sustains it, and who guides it with unerring love. It was a truth so profound so transformative, that it reshaped how I would view life from that moment on. As I emerged from the all-encompassing embrace of the light, I found myself in a place so beautiful, so otherworldly, that words fail to capture its essence. I stood in a vast, breathtaking meadow that seemed to stretch infinitely in every direction. The landscape was alive in a way that transcended anything I had ever known. The colors were astonishing, vivid and radiant, with hues so pure and extraordinary that they seemed to belong to a divine palette beyond earthly comprehension. Every blade of grass, every tree, every flower glowed with an inner light. It wasn't merely reflected or cast upon them. This light emanated from within, as if each living thing radiated the essence of its own life. The plants swayed gently, not from the wind, but as if moved by a rhythm that was woven into the fabric of this realm. Their movements seemed to hum in harmony with the very energy of creation. The air itself felt alive, charged with peace and serenity. Breathing it in, if breathing was even the right word, filled me with a sense of wholeness and connection. It was as though the atmosphere was infused with love, a tangible force that enveloped and sustained everything in this sacred place. This meadow was not bound by the limitations of the earth. It was untouched by decay, untouched by anything dark or broken. It felt like the purest reflection of creation, a realm where everything was as it was meant to be. The peace here wasn't merely the absence of conflict. It was a profound harmony, where every element, every detail, existed in perfect balance. As I took in the beauty around me, I felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. This wasn't just a place I had arrived at. It felt like home. There was no longing, no yearning, no sense of incompleteness. It was as though I had returned to the very essence of existence, to a realm that had always been a part of me, even when I didn't know it. The meadow seemed to extend beyond sight, and in the distance, I noticed figures standing on a gentle hill. Though far away, I could sense their presence, their purpose, and their welcoming energy. This place wasn't just a landscape. It was alive with meaning, connection, and peace, a true reflection of heaven's glory. In the distance, atop a small hill, I saw figures dressed in robes of radiant, luminous colors: white, gold, sapphire, and rose, each glowing with the essence of the surrounding light. Though far away, their presence radiated peace, wisdom, and love, embodying the essence of heaven. Drawn to them, I felt an instant desire to be near them, and as soon as the thought formed, I was transported to their side. Among them, one figure stood out, an older man in a regal purple robe that shimmered with inner light. His face radiated wisdom and compassion. Though not Jesus, his presence carried divine authority and love. He communicated without words, speaking directly to my soul. I asked questions with my heart, and he answered with profound truths that resonated deeply, illuminating knowledge I had forgotten I possessed. In his presence, there was no judgment, only love and clarity. He seemed to know me entirely, my struggles, joys, and doubts, and loved me unconditionally. Around us, the other figures stood quietly, their purpose unclear but comforting, exuding love and support. In this place of unity, I felt an unparalleled sense of belonging and understanding, a reminder of the divine truth that connects us all. One of my first questions was about sin. My understanding had always been tied to rules and actions, lies, broken commandments, and moral failings. It felt like a ledger of judgment, weighing heavily on my conscience. So, I asked the spiritual authority, "What about my sins?" He looked at me, not with condemnation, but with profound love, and said, "There are no sins the way you think of them on earth." His words shattered my perceptions. Instead of focusing on actions, he asked me, "What is in your heart?" In that instant, I saw the core of my being, not guilt or shame, but love, pure and divine. I realized sin wasn't about actions alone, but about the absence of love. It was when fear, judgment, or selfishness overshadowed the love that is our true nature. The message was clear. It is love, not judgment, that defines who you are in God's eyes. God doesn't see us through our mistakes, but through the love within us, the divine spark that reflects His image. This truth shifted everything. The rules I had clung to weren't about judgment, but about guiding me back to love. Living in love was the way to reflect the divine light within us all, a light that never fades, no matter how far we stray. As my time in the heavenly realm drew to an end, I felt an overwhelming sense of longing. I wanted to stay in that place of perfect love and peace, where every question was answered and every doubt erased. But I knew I had to return. Before I left, I begged the spiritual authority to let me remember everything, every moment, every revelation, and most importantly, the answer to the ultimate question, what is the meaning of it all? With gentle compassion, he responded, "You may take everything back with you, except that answer." Though I didn't fully understand why, I trusted his wisdom. The knowledge I had been given was already more than I could have imagined, and I knew it would remain with me forever. Suddenly, I felt a profound shift. The radiant meadow began to fade, and the brilliant light that had embraced me receded into darkness. I was no longer floating in peace, but descending rapidly, as if being pulled through a narrowing tunnel. Loud, jarring slams echoed around me, each sound shaking me further from the serenity of the heavenly realm and closer to the confines of my physical body. Then, with a sharp, disorienting jolt, my soul re-entered my body. The sensation was overwhelming, as though I had been forced back into a space far too small to contain me. The weight of my physical form felt heavy and restrictive compared to the boundless freedom I had just known. I became acutely aware of the noise around me, the voices of medical staff, the beeping of machines, and the chaos of the delivery room. It was a stark contrast to the divine stillness I had just left behind. Though I was back in the physical world, I knew I had returned with something extraordinary. The peace of the heavenly realm felt distant, yet its truths were indelibly etched into my soul. I carried with me the certainty of love's eternal power, the understanding of our divine purpose, and the unshakable knowledge that there is more to existence than we can comprehend. Even as I adjusted to being back in my body, I felt a quiet assurance within me, a reminder that I had glimpsed a reality far greater than this one. That experience, though brief, had forever changed the way I saw myself, the world, and God. I returned not just as the person I had been, but as someone profoundly transformed, carrying the light of that realm within me as an eternal guide. When I awoke, I found my doctor performing chest compressions. I was disoriented and overwhelmed, the weight of my body and the noise around me jarring after the serenity I had experienced. I wanted to share what had happened, but hesitated. How could I put something so profound into words without sounding delusional? For years, I kept the experience to myself, fearing ridicule or misunderstanding. The vivid memory of the heavenly realm stayed etched in my heart, a constant reminder of love and eternity. I often replayed the moments in my mind, marveling at the truths I had been shown. It was both a comfort and a burden, knowing what lay beyond this life, but feeling unable to express it fully. Eventually, I found the courage to share my story, hoping it might inspire others to see life and death in a new light. It wasn't until I stumbled upon Dr. Raymond Moody's groundbreaking book on near-death experiences that I realized I wasn't alone in what I had experienced. As I read the accounts of others who had crossed over, I was overcome with emotion. Their stories echoed my own journey, each one a powerful testament to the truth and beauty of the realms beyond this life. For years, I had felt isolated, unsure of how to share or even process what had happened to me. But in these pages, I found validation, comfort, and a deep sense of belonging. My experience wasn't just a fleeting vision. It was part of a larger, universal truth. In that moment, I understood that my near-death experience wasn't meant to remain hidden. It wasn't simply a personal revelation. It was a message meant to be shared. I began to see my story as a way to inspire others, to help them move beyond fear and judgment, and to embrace the truth that I had been shown so vividly, that love is the essence of our being, that it is our divine core, and that it is the ultimate purpose of life. Today, when I share my story, it is not to glorify myself or to gain attention. It is to illuminate the profound truths that were revealed to me, that sin is not the rigid, unforgiving structure we've been taught, but a failure to live in alignment with love. That God's light and love are not distant or conditional, but available to all, always. I want others to know that fear and judgment are distractions from the truth. What truly matters is what resides in your heart, the love you carry and express to the world. Let love guide you, for it is the essence of God, the force that connects us all, and the key to our purpose. My hope is that by sharing this, I can help others see life and themselves through the lens of love, the way God sees us, as precious, eternal, and deeply loved. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue sharing these powerful stories and creating a space for open, heartfelt conversations. Click the notification bell so you're always updated when we post new content. Together, let's explore the unseen, celebrate the miraculous, and inspire one another to live with love, faith, and wonder